So I'm wondering, like, you were talking about how Jesus in this passage is really like engaging in sort of like the politics of his time, and there's a lot of political stuff going on right now. Like we have an election coming up. There's a lot going on in the States. So like, how do we, I guess, look to Jesus for like guidance on how to engage with politics, but in a way that's like good and like acknowledging that there's people who we're going to disagree with, and like I don't think those sort of like hostile arguments are like the right way to go about it. Do you have thoughts on like what's sort of a more Jesus-like way to participate in that?
So yes, and I'll give my opinion on this, and I think it follows the biblical example in Jesus. Last week's passage, we were looking at something from the Sermon on the Mount, and we just looked at the one verse. It says, "Do to others what you would have them do to you." This sums up the whole of everything written, everything before Jesus. So I think when we look to Jesus, how does Jesus choose sides? Because Jesus chooses sides. Jesus isn't apolitical. Whose side is Jesus on in this story today? The blind, the hurting, the poor, the children, the less than. When we go to vote, what I do is I look at the issues and the things going on, I look at the candidates, and I pray, which of these will better help my neighbors who are hurting? Which of these people representing us in St. Catharines will work for those people who don't have anywhere to live in our downtown core? Who's going to lift them up and who's going to push them down? And then I'll prayerfully vote accordingly. I think we are always called to vote in such a way that it keeps the least in mind, that works for our neighbors, that it's not about what works just for me, but works for the least of them. And then we use our vote in that way on their behalf. And further, I'd say, as Mennonites, we recognize this, I think, particularly well, living simply. How you spend your money each day is how we vote for the world that we want. How we continue to spend ourselves, our time, our resources in a way that recognizes the God-given image in each of our neighbors, each step of the way.